One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse with the Poetic Diva, is podcast programming that reminds us of the connection between poetry and mental and emotional wellness. This program has been brought to you by Rhyme and Chat Interactive Poetry Organization and the financial and technical support of the Lyndhurst Foundation, Arts Build, Gold Nook Productions, and our Chattanooga local NPR station, WUTC 88.1. So whether you are a poetry enthusiast or simply someone seeking inspiration and understanding, join us as we unravel the threads of creativity and introspection, one rhyme at a time. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to One Rhyme at a Time, Unpacking the Meaning and the Muse podcast, where poetry meets mental wellness right here in the heart of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am the Poetic Diva, and I am thrilled to embark on this poetic healing journey with you. As in every episode, we are being visited by a poet and a mental health professional. And today's episode is for those who have loved deeply and lost profoundly. And you may be wondering, is it possible to love again? And if so, how? How do I do it? Do you dare to love again? We are being visited by poet Kelly Hanwright and by mental health professional DeShanee Thomas. Let's welcome our first guest, poet Kelly Hanwright. Kelly Hanwright, also known as AuthentiK, is a poet, artist, and blogger. She lives in the beautiful Smoky Mountains with her 2 dogs and tiger cat. Raised by a parent with untreated mental illness, she seeks to empower others to give voice to their trauma through writing, to raise awareness of mental health journeys, and to erase stigma. Find her works, including publication links, on her website at kellyhanwright.com. Find her memoir and poetry, The Locust Years, on Amazon.com. Please join me as we welcome Kelly AuthentiK Hanwright. Thank you, Kelly, so very much for being here. We are so honored to have you join us today.
Thank you, Marcia.
So, we are ready to hear the poem that you have to share with us.
This is called Facing It for Frank. I was raised on the howl of the Union Pacific whistle. Hum of those wheels along tracks right across from my house gets in the blood like a drug. Sometimes I think of that life. I'm still living it somewhere deep down inside me. Like that train, I never stop running. Only the outside is still. Do the acceptable thing and people will generally accept you. Yet I know what they only sense. I am not one of them. Inside there's a rumbling. Feel the wind from my speed. Hear the screech of my wheels careening toward some elusive destination. The force threatens to smash all the walls of my teacup home. Darling, you are my catalyst. My feeling for you is enough to sometimes stop the shaking. I lay on your floor until it's over, your quiet intensity holding me in the audible silence.
Okay. Thank you so very much for sharing this. There are a lot of things that I'm feeling as I listen to this poem. I'm of course picking up the correlation between the train and your personal experience. What is it that made you decide to make this comparison to the train?
So oddly, 9 times out of 10, I don't decide to write things. They just start coming out. Like I'll be thinking along, no pun intended, whatever track, and it will start to flow together because metaphor and simile became a really good way for me to get my thoughts out of my head at a young age. So since I had that outlet, I guess it just became easy to use that. my mom has schizophrenia, so a lot of things happen that can't be described in regular, straightforward words. And there were, especially at a younger age, a lot of experiences that I didn't know how to, you know how earlier we were talking about kids don't have the words for things?
True.
So even as an adult, when I got into therapy, I still didn't have the words for it, even to look back and analyze it. So anyway, I was just thinking one night, just sitting around thinking, and this started coming to me. I think I was in the phase of my life. I went through a phase where I kind of missed Houston, and which is, we lived across from the train. That's where it was, Houston, 5th Ward. It occurred to me that I guess the sounds of the train coming to a stop, like you're rushing along and there's wind, and then the wheels start screeching because the train's trying to stop, and it all and then sometimes the walls will shake if you're close enough to the train, like, which we were. You can feel the rumbling in the house. So it was a lot like, you know, I have complex PTSD is my diagnosis. So when I would have those flashbacks and things, sometimes it would feel something like that, like I was being
Like your walls
shaken.
were shaking.
Yeah.
And Frank was a calming aspect to your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in many ways my rock.
I get that.
And he brought a lot of healing into my life.
And this poem shows that very, very clearly. When you talk about gets into the blood like a drug, that stands out to me. What exactly was your thought behind that particular line, and the fact that it is separated from the stanza above it and the stanza below it? I know that there's some intentionality there. So
There
explain
was
that to us.
when I split it up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there were a lot of things going on in my head when I wrote this poem. So another thing was how I have always kind of tended towards wandering or wanting to keep moving. And one reason for that is, I think, subconsciously, when things get hard, sometimes people see that as an easy way to deal with it. If you move on and go to a new place, go to a new school, move towns, move houses, whatever, then you don't have to deal with what you've been dealing with anymore. You just scrap it and start over.
Like a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it gets in the blood like a drug, traveling, moving around. But I had decided, when I realized that I really loved Frank, that I was going to stay this time. So I did.
And are you glad that you did?
Very.
Yeah. So you say, somewhere deep down inside me, like that train, I never stop running.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you were explaining to us. And then you say, only the outside is still. And this is another line in the poem that's separated from the stanza above it and below. So that gives like a beautiful emphasis and like a stop to the poem. Very artful, the way that you did that. Is that something that only exists in this particular poem, or is that like a signature for you as far as having a line that's isolated for impact?
I do that, to be honest. I never thought about it before you said that, but I will do that if I feel like there's something. I mean, as far as a signature style, I don't know if I have one. I just like to, I kind of arrange the words in a way that it impacts me. But yeah, I do tend to emphasize a line like that.
The line, I am not one of them. not only is it set apart, but it's italicized.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what was happening for that particular line to get that type of spotlight in the poem.
So only the outside is still reflects down to that next stanza. So inside there is all this commotion going on. And half the time I wish I could move somewhere and get rid of everything and start over, even with Frank, which is saying something. But when I would get to that point, is like, no, I really, I do want to stay with Frank, but every once in a while I would still have those impulses just because I would feel so crazy. But on the outside, I seem calm and put together and like everything's fine. And then you do whatever, like you mirror society in order to survive and be accepted and, I don't know, do whatever you need to do if you want to have a career and relationships and other things that normal people have, and not slip into some sort of alternate lifestyle, which I decided I didn't. So I would have had that option. But inside, it's like you always know. And I guess that I heard this whisper, like, I am not one of them. Like it says, I know what they only sense.
Yes. Okay, so this stanza says, do the acceptable thing and people will generally accept you. So that's like wearing the mask to fit in. Yet I know what they only sense. I am not one of them. So this is you pretty much saying that they know that something's different about me, but they can't quite put their finger on it. But I know what it is. Yeah. Then you go into inside, there's a rumbling. So this is referring to this restlessness.
This is like, yeah. And this is like the flashbacks and it's not like the dissociating. The dissociating was removing. I don't know. It's hard. I guess anxiety, and sometimes I would just have, especially when I started to heal, like memories would just start coming in the middle of the night. And what I would do is I would get up very quietly so I didn't disturb him and literally go lay on the bathroom floor because it was grounding and the floor is cool. And also, oddly, bathrooms were a safe space for me when I was a kid because it was the only place that someone wasn't going to come barging into with some random thing, like yelling. Or
it was a safe space.
So I would hide in the bathroom. I would even play in the bathroom. I would go like get in the shower
in your youth
and sit in the shower and color or something.
So even in your adulthood, you found yourself retreating back to what was safe to you in your youth. So when you refer to your Frank as being your catalyst, darling, you are my catalyst. So in what way was Frank a catalyst for you?
He was the turning point from destructive tendencies.
Yeah.
He was a way to see myself in positive ways and like possibilities that I didn't see before I met him.
That's a beautiful thing, to have someone in your life. Many people go their entire lives and don't have someone that impactful and that like on their side as you were able to experience. The last stanza of your poem, my feeling for you is enough to sometimes stop the shaking. I lay on your floor until it's over. Your quiet intensity holding me in the audible silence. So I'm thinking your floor is kind of connecting back to those times that you would spend on the bathroom floor. And it was his floor that you were finding as a safe space and peaceful. That is so beautiful. Is there anything else about this last stanza that you want to explain to us?
Well, the floor is also like his stability. There's like a double metaphor to it because it does refer to the literal floor, but even though, and it took me a long time to really open up to him about what I was going through internally. I would just kind of hide it so I could seem normal because I thought that he would be freaked out or stop loving me or not know what to do with that, you know? But even though he wasn't present, like his safety was holding me anyway, if that makes sense.
It does.
It's like kind of a solace.
It does. It does. And Frank is not with us now.
No.
So I know that there is a process that we go through after losing a loved one. But when the loss is of someone that was such a catalyst for change in your life, how do you get to the point to where you allow yourself permission to love again?
Like, I want to say something that I'm embarrassed to say, but
I don't want you to say anything that's embarrassing.
well, people don't talk about this, so it might need to be said. You miss physical love.
Yeah.
Like when, especially someone that you've been close to and trusted is gone. And for me, that just got unbearable. But that's not where we are now. Like,
Right.
it just like almost felt compelled to find someone.
Yeah. And we aren't meant, we aren't designed to isolate and to go through this life alone. But there's still like this connection that exists, you know, even though he's not physically here, like his memory, his legacy, his impact still lives on.
Yes.
And you shared with me that you have a new love.
Yes.
And it is a healthy love.
Mm-hmm.
It is
very healthy.
It's the good stuff. And in a lot of cases, we go through some bad stuff to get to the good stuff. How do you know that this is good?
One thing, you get the feeling when something's off. I feel like you also have an internal compass that tells you when something's just right. And he's very open. We're very open with each other. And also, he told me from the very beginning, and then we agreed on it because, like, I was like, me too. I'm sick of the, BS. So many people don't communicate. And I don't know if people choose not to communicate, but it's almost like they do sometimes. People hold things inside that they shouldn't, and lots of things that could just be talked out and resolved quickly turn into a festering sore that then brings poison into the relationship.
That is very true.
And we talked about how frustrating that is. And my parents' relationship was very much like that. His parents actually have a really good relationship. So that's nice. And it's been nice to have them in my life too. But I always said I wasn't going to act like that with my partner. And so we talked about, I don't know, how important communication was. And we're always honest with each other.
It's a lot.
And we discuss things like, he's trying to buy a car right now. He discussed it with me. Like, was I cool with him buying this car? And he wants to put me on the title and stuff. And, Yeah. So it's like, or like we talked about things like we'll text each other when we're on the way to work or when we're on the way home. And I know that can be like a red flag, but it's like in a caring way because we want to make sure that the other person, because we don't live in the same city, we want to make sure that we're getting, the other person is getting to and from okay. Or like lots of times we'll just text each other because we're staying in contact. Like,
Exactly.
I texted him when I got here, like, I'm at Marsha's fixing to do the podcast that she wanted to record.
And that shows care and it shows concern. And just like you said, there's a feeling, you know, and it's our responsibility to acknowledge, is this feeling making me uneasy? Like, you know, is this an unhealthy situation with him wanting to know everywhere I am and everything that I'm doing? Or is this a comforting, like the comfort that I need to know? And just like you say, like our intuition, our gut, our discernment will tell us if we want to, you know, like listen.
He also never asked me to do that. He was just doing it. And I said to him one day, it was like, I don't know, this whole thing moved very quickly, but not in a toxic way. It was almost like we knew each other already.
Right.
And well, I don't know, like we were on the same wavelength or something. But I said to him one day, I was like, do you believe in kind of communicating where you are, like not in a creepy way, but like when you're in a relationship, just, hey, I'm here, I'm there, I'm going home. And he was like, yeah, I love that. Yeah. And so I could already tell that he did, but he never said to me, hey, let me know where you are. Like, I want to know where you are. Now, he will say when I leave his house, let me know when you get home so I can make sure you made it.
That's safe.
One day his phone died. This is the cutest story. His phone died at work. He used his boss's phone to call his mom and asked his mom to call me to tell me his phone was dead and if I needed anything to call her.
Very thoughtful and very intentional.
I don't know many people who would do that.
Right. And it does show that this is some security, this is consistency, and that he is loving you intentionally. So after the passing of Frank and now having a new relationship, what are ways that because the love for Frank still exists.
It's still there.
So how are you able to honor the memory and the love that still exists for Frank in your heart?
Well, I had told the Lord, okay, so I guess part of the answer to your question too is besides which was a sign, but the physical contact need, I also began to feel that it wasn't for me to stay single. And Frank had always encouraged me, if anything happens to me, I always want you to find somebody. And we'd had conversations about it because at first I was like, no. And I still thought that when he died, like, that's it. I had prayed for someone who could understand. And on our first date, he told me that night, we went out that next night, that he had lost his fiance in college to a freak accident and that she would always be a part of him. And was that a problem? And I said, actually, no, because I hadn't told you this yet, but I've been praying like for somebody that would understand because I lost my husband too. And it had been about a little over a year at that point. So we talk about them quite a bit. Her name was Vanessa, and we talk about both of them all the time, really. And it's nice to be able to talk about and share memories of your loved one and also know that your partner is supporting you in that and not judging or feeling some type of way about you talking about another man or whatever.
Exactly. And it's so interesting. I've experienced situations where there's like someone who has some insecurity or some jealousy, and it's relating to somebody who has passed on.
Yeah, I don't get
And it's
that.
like, right. And it's like, there's something that's not secure within you as a person
That
for
you
you
could
to
be
not.
jealous of somebody who's passed on.
Exactly. So that means a lot in this new journey that you're on, to be connected to somebody who honors the love of your life. That means so much. And I'm so happy for both of you that you found one another. And I actually look forward to you coming back and sharing some of the poetry that you create on this new love journey that you're on. So we thank you for being with us. Now, I noticed that you're reading from a book. Will you share with us information about your book and how people can purchase your book?
Well, this is The Locust Years. It's by me, Kelly Hanwright. And it has 4 sections. And those are the devouring, horrors, fallout, coping, the restoring, rage, emergence, and regeneration. It's in 2 parts. It's a survival memoir. And it's based on, I told the Lord that if he wanted me to write a book, he was going to have to give me a title. And he gave me this title and this verse. It's Joel 2:25. It's in the front of the book. And I will restore unto you the years that the locust devoured. And I feel like that's what's happened to me.
Yes.
And I don't really know all the hows and whys, but I'm grateful for it. I have a website, kellyhanwright.com, and I have a blog on there that I haven't touched in a while, but it's got a lot of mental health stuff. And I also have, the book is on Amazon, and actually it's at Reeve Books in Chattanooga.
Nice. Nice. And if people are wanting to connect with you, is there a way that they can reach out to you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram as Kelly Hanwright.
Okay. We thank you so very much for being here with us, for sharing with us, and I want to invite you back at some point.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
Loving again after loss. It isn't about replacement. It's about expansion. It's about not forgetting. It's about learning how memory and hope can sit in the same room. And I'm honored to be joined by a mental health professional who helps people rebuild trust with themselves, with love, and with the future, even after a devastating loss. But before we do, it is important that I remind you that this podcast is not a substitute for therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or qualified mental health provider with any questions that you may have regarding your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Now, with that being said, let's learn more about loving after loss. DeShanee Thomas is currently an associate marriage and family therapist at a local community health setting. She has worked in the mental health world for more than 10 years. She has worked with individuals from the age of 6 years old all the way to the age of 95. She believes everyone has a story that shapes who they are, and it is influenced by the people, experiences, and things around them. She enjoys working with individuals, families, couples, and the consensual non-monogamous. Her therapeutic interests include narrative therapy, CBT, emotionally focused therapy, non-traditional family structures, LGBTQIA+ lifestyles, sexual health, IDD, addiction, and end of life. She believes that everyone could benefit from therapy and having someone to talk to, even for a short amount of time. Join me in welcoming DeShanee Thomas. Well, welcome back.
Welcome
back.
Thank you for having me.
We had an amazing conversation not too long ago. We were talking about alcoholism and its effects. We had the poet, MK Simon was on, and now we've got you back.
Yes.
And we have the poet with us, Kelly Hanwright, and we're talking about loving after loss.
Yes.
So I'm not even sure where to even start with this conversation because there's just so many layers that immediately come to mind. So I guess my first question needs to be, how do you know after losing the love of your life that you're healed enough to even consider trying to love again?
So like you said, there's so many layers to it. The first thing I like to think about with people, how did you lose this person? Did this person succumb to an illness? Was it something that was a freak accident? Did they commit suicide? So people have to process all three of those different, because those are, did you watch and caretake for the person and you watch them go through the process of passing away? Or did they pass from a car accident on the way home from work, on the way home from the store?
Yeah. So how does grieving in each one of those situations, how does it look different?
It's very different regardless of how people pass. So if someone passed away from, let's say, they're coming to an illness, they're watching the process, watching them go through the cycles of death, they're caretaking. They have had talks possibly of, when I pass away, I want you to carry on. When these are my wishes, this is what I want. I've been taking care of you. I have caregiver fatigue. So someone may have to recover from that caregiver fatigue. And now I'm no longer taking care of a sick person. Do I have to rebuild myself back up? Rebuild my social circle, rebuild my schedule? What do I do now that I'm not taking care of a person? And if that's the case, there's a whole other grieving process. They've been grieving for a while during the caregiving. So where are they in the grieving process now? As for someone who it's a freak accident, that wasn't expected. That was, we are at whatever level we are in our relationship. So we may have had a fight, or we may have loved on each other and we had a great day, or we were separated. Something has happened in the day to day and now it's just done. Right. So having to go through the grief process of, there's unanswered questions, there's unsaid words. If the last thing someone said was, "I'll be right back,"
Ooh.
it hits hard, because typically, yeah, you'll be right back. But this time you weren't right back.
Didn't come right back.
So what's next? How do you go on from that next? If it's someone who committed suicide, did you see this coming? Were there signs? How do you grieve a person where you have, again, all these unanswered questions, or all these questions that may have had answers that you don't want to be real with? So there's no one answer to that part. When you think about how that person passed away, that's one of the things that's going to be a big part of how that person walks in their grieving process. So one of the other things is, how do you know you're ready? That's for the person to know, that person right there. Where are they in the grieving process? Have they accepted that this has happened? And the grieving process is not linear. So you have denial, then you have anger, you have bargaining, you have depression, you have acceptance. These are not linear. Someone could accept the fact that that person is gone. 2 years later, there's a trigger and they hop back to depression.
Okay.
They could be completely angry about it. Let's say someone passed away when the child in the relationship was 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. And now it's their high school graduation. And I'm so angry that you are not here to watch our child graduate.
Right. It sends you back.
It takes you back. So it's not linear. It's a cycle. It's always going to be cycling. Mourning is so cultural. It's so specific to what somebody has experienced. Some people are like, okay, this person has passed away. This sucks. This changes my life, but I'm going to keep going forward because I have stuff to do. Some people, they get stuck. Some people, it's in between. So it's person by person. You can't stick one thing on one person. If this is how one person mourn, that's not how the other person's going to mourn, even if they're in the same household.
Exactly.
So when it comes to when am I ready, that person knows that they're ready. It may be a day, it may be 6 months, it may be never. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Some people have already clocked out of that relationship, unbeknownst to other people, and this person has passed away. And okay, that has happened. I am ready.
Yeah.
It may seem fast to other people, but it has to be for that person. Outside forces like family, friends may want them to like, hey, you need to move on. But if that person is not ready, it's not going to be a great experience for them.
That is so valuable. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because in a lot of cases, there are times when people are judged by external forces who don't know all the inner workings of the relationship, of your own personal journey as you're going through the grieving process. And they want to try to put a time on how long it should be, how long you should wait. And it's really not fair.
It's not fair.
That.
It's not. And it's hard to not judge, especially if you are part of that family, if you are the family of the person that passed away, or if you're one of the children, and seeing your parent move on to another person. Not so much that that love has gone away, but they don't understand the inner workings. That person lost a parent, but it's different when their parent has lost a partner.
And also respecting each individual's grieving process. My process of losing a person is going to be different from yours, even though it's the same person.
It's the same person.
And even if it's siblings, you know, my brother and I lose a parent, how he grieves is going to look different than how I grieve. And it doesn't mean that his grieving process is wrong.
It doesn't.
It just means that it's different.
It's different.
So how does the person who has experienced the loss of their loved one, how do they know that they are healed and ready to love as compared to it's actually loneliness?
So there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely.
Okay.
Being alone, there's nobody around. You are physical, there's nobody around. Being lonely, you can be in a room full of people and still feel that emptiness. What is going to be connection for that person? If you want to do things because you are lonely, that's when you start activating your support system. That's when you start making friends. That's when you have hobbies. If there's the instance of, I like to talk about, I've always had a partner and I don't like to generalize, but I'm going to generalize. For some men, when their female partner has passed away, they may not know how to function without a woman around. And vice versa. There's some women that don't know how to function without a man around, or some people don't know how to function without a partner. They just don't know how to do the day-to-day.
I get that.
And they don't want to know. So I need to replace the fact that I had somebody because I need this counterpart. I need this body double. I need to know that someone else is in the house with me. I need to have someone to cook for. I need someone to clean up after me. I need to feel needed. So I need to have a partner. For those people, it's going to be circumstantial. Who is here right now? I agree to this at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. For other people, build that social circle and see how much you tolerate people, how much you tolerate others, because I have lived with this person and had the habits with this person and had compromise with this person for so long. That's not true of everybody. It's not. No one's going to know how I like my cereal. No one's going to know that I like this temperature, or I would rather someone else put my shoes on for me than me doing it myself. And my partner was okay with that.
Right.
But someone else is going to look at me crazy like, what do you mean put your shoes on for you?
Right. You can't have that same expectation.
What do you mean you're not putting my shoes on for me? I'm confused. This was happily done without huff and puff.
Exactly.
But it's getting accustomed to this new life. What is it like to be by myself so I know what I like, what I need, and this wasn't just things that my partner did. So that way I go into this next relationship, if I go into the next relationship knowing this is me, This is what I like. This is my boundaries.
So for a person who is having a hard time going through the grieving process, they are still bouncing around from being angry to being acceptance to, they're still going through. How do they get to the point to where they can entertain the company of another person without feeling guilty, without feeling that they're betraying their loved one by just going out to dinner with someone, spending time with someone else? What are some of the things that a person can do?
So with the grieving process, starting with socialization and not being isolated. If need be, their support groups. If that's not something that they want to do, then who are their supportive people? Who are the people that they're like, okay, I can be around you for this period of time, and increasing that. If you're going to go back to work, you're already going to be around people. If you want to continue to be around your family, you're going to be around people. What is that next step? What is that socialization? Also, when it comes to guilt's going to happen with any decision you make in general. There's that feeling of, I didn't do this, so what would have happened if I did this? If I didn't get the chocolate milkshake and I got the vanilla milkshake, would I have liked the chocolate one better? I don't know. There's always something with choice, but you kind of akin it to having children. If I have another child, there's no less love for that first child. There's no less love for that second child with that third one. The love is there. It's getting spread. I can still love the relationship that I had, love the partner that I had, and spill love into this other relationship. It doesn't go away. It's just new. It's just updated. It's just, this is where this love is, and there's still love over here.
I love that. I love that analogy, that comparison there, because it is very true when it comes to children. Just because you have multiple children does not mean that you love any one more or less than the other.
Yeah.
And it can be the same for honoring what you had and then also building something new. And also, I heard you in giving us permission to have some guilt, because that's a normal feeling. Work through that thing, but it's normal. It's okay to feel that. But just don't stay there and don't allow it to paralyze you. So that's good. Okay, so there's a person that, let's say that I'm one that suffered a loss, and there's a person who has asked me out to dinner. Let's say that it's somebody maybe that I worked with or went to church with, and I'm really, really liking this person. I'm feeling comfortable around them. What are some of the things that new person should be bringing into the relationship? What should I be looking for in that new person?
So that's two different questions.
Okay.
For the person coming in and for the person who is allowing them in.
Yes.
So for the person coming in, have the understanding that there is no way to compare, live up to any way that you want to put it to this person that's passed away, especially depending on how they passed away. You are a completely separate entity. If you are coming into this, there is this bold, beautiful past. Even if it wasn't the greatest, it is influential. If there are children there, those children are genetically attached to this person who has passed away. They have their own memories. They have their own influences. They have all this stuff. Wanting to change that in a negative sense or take it away, it's not going to be smooth sailing.
Right.
If you're introducing new things, that's one thing. But trying to take away pictures or, hey, let's not talk about that, that's not going to go over the best way. Having the understanding, I'm coming in as a new person and not trying to replace. Right. I am adding.
Right.
Always adding, never trying to replace.
Nice.
Being open to, these are the rituals, this is the mourning process that the people are going through. If they have an annual, we're going to go visit this grave, they're going to go visit that grave. Don't plan nothing around it. Don't plan to have a meal prepared for them. Have some tea, some hot cocoa. Like, add, don't take away.
Right.
If
And don't try to compete.
there's
with-
nothing to compete with.
Right.
And I don't like saying ghost, but I'm gonna say it. Don't try to compete with a ghost because you're punching water. What are you trying to do? It's just not gonna take,
Right.
So for the person who is open to receiving someone, understand that this is not a replacement. This is, again, a new person. This is going to be a new observation of what my behavior has been, because they may point out things that your partner was comfortable with that y'all got accustomed to, that this don't work.
Right.
I'm a new person. You can't just leave your socks everywhere. I understand your wife did that, but I ain't going.
Exactly.
So what does that need to look like for both? When y'all come together, have this discussion, be transparent. For the person who has had somebody pass, I've had a person pass this long ago. Here's where I am in the grieving process, but you have to be aware of where you are in the grieving process. Here's where I am. This is some of the rituals we do. We go visit her grave once a year. We honor him in this way. We have an altar. We still go visit his family. Whatever that looks like, be transparent. So that way that person knows what they're stepping into. So do I have to make sure I'm good to go with these in-laws? Because they're not former in the sense of these people have divorced. That's different. Divorce and death are different. But these people are still actively attached to this family. So I'm here. I got to be a part of something. They want to go there for Christmas. All right. Am I invited? Are we cool? Because if we are, come. I'll bring a cake. What you need me to do?
Open communication in any relationship. Effective and open communication is important, but especially in this, because there are just so many things to take into consideration. And you need to pretty much show up with some emotional intelligence and emotional maturity in this thing to be able to openly express what your position is, no matter which end or what role you're playing in this whole dynamic. And then also being able to make some shifts and some changes if it's needed. And also being willing to let it go and to walk away if it's showing signs of not working. Okay, so with this new couple that's trying to find their way, what are some behaviors, red flags from either or both aspects that would cause some concern?
Attempting to replace anything that has to do with my past significant other did this, so do this, do the same thing. This is a different person. I would question mark, like, okay, I like to say, do you want the pancake or not? Do you want a pancake, or do you want me to make the pancake in specific steps as you sit here and watch me and create whatever you think you want created? Or do you want to go sit down and then I bring you a pancake? Do you want to have the exact same thing from a different person, which is not realistic? Or do you want to explore something new? And that's for both ends. For a person who is coming in with a person whose spouse has passed, attempting to replace everything and make it as if that person did not exist. So cutting them off from that other person's family, trying to change things around. It's one thing to clean. It's one thing to declutter. It's another thing to erase. You don't want to erase. If they have an altar up for that person and it's part of their culture, that altar gonna alter. Leave that be.
Honor that.
You need me to dust it off? Just stay away from it? Okay. It's not in the middle of the floor where I'm gonna knock it over. That's all I need.
Right.
I need to know the boundaries. Make sure the boundaries are known. Make sure you know your boundaries. That's a big thing. People don't always know that this is a boundary for me. If it's something like a piece of furniture, a piece of clothing, a part of the closet, whatever that looks like, know that that's a boundary for you. Some people are going to be like, you got to get over it and throw that stuff out. Do you? What is it hurting? What is it hurting? Is it keeping you from doing your day-to-day activities? Are you walking past a picture, touching it, and going about your day? What is that hurting?
Right.
What is that hurting?
So possibly be willing to release some things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
'Cause
for the sake of love.
You're gonna have to release some things. You're gonna have to clean the house. You're gonna have to move stuff around. Another person is coming in. What does that look like for both of y'all? Being able to sit down, talk, compromise, understanding that this is a lost love. This isn't a divorce or these people separated. This is whatever happened, especially if it was abrupt, especially if they caregived, especially if it was something suicidal. This is some loss that was tragic in some way.
And the healing still continues.
Always.
So, what are some additional things that can happen within this new relationship to assist on that grieving person's healing journey?
Being open to listening and listening to someone talk about love that's not yours. If you have this partner who this was the love of their life, they had been together since they were 5 years old, and they went through all the schools together, high school, college, and that person passed at like 25, that is a big chunk of their life. They went through a lot. Their families are connected. Maybe.
Yeah.
How could you not listen to something about someone's formative years that helped build them and build their personality? Your favorite thing about that person may have come from somebody else. So why not be open to listening and finding your own way to be part of this puzzle piece of your partner's life?
Yeah. Any other tidbits, guidance that you can share for someone who is on this journey of having lost someone that they hold so near and dear, and just trying to prepare themselves to love again?
Taking the steps that work for you and giving yourself some grace on a timeline, but creating a timeline. Doing things like going to group and being around other people who have lost. A lot of hospice, I know hospice here has support groups for people who have lost loved ones, significant others, however that looks in the journey. Participating in something like that is helpful because you're around people who get it, if that makes sense. It may not be your family, it may not be your friends, they may not get it.
Right.
And even if they had a loss, it may not be the same kind of loss. They may not look at it the same way. But building that support system and what that looks like. And it sounds weird, but having that healthy isolation of taking time for yourself and saying, okay, these are my habits, this is what I like, but I also need to go out and see people.
Yes.
I will take today for myself and do what I need to do for myself by myself. But I need to make sure I'm with my people. I'm with whoever is healthy to be around. And giving yourself some grace with the naysayers, not listening to other people. You really need to get over it. You really need to get past this. You need to get back out there. Okay. On my timeline.
In your own time.
When I'm ready.
Yeah.
When I want to do it.
Yeah.
And again, depending on culture, depending on age, depending on community, that could be so many different timelines. Some people, some cultures, it's okay to start looking after someone has passed. The moment they pass, people are starting to try to match you up so that you can have a significant other. And culturally, that may be okay. But some people, it's a year. Some people never, ever find romantic partners again because they just don't want to.
And that's okay too.
That's okay. They have their community, they have their friends. If they want to be a cat person and just hang out with their cats, then let them have their cats. Are the cats healthy? Are they healthy? Let them have their cats.
Yeah. So, through all of the different layers, if a person doesn't already have a therapist, a counselor, a support group, as they're going through their grieving process and all of that, how important and impactful is having somebody to talk to.
It's very important because people get lost in their own thoughts and cycle, and the grief and the guilt will be very consuming if they don't have an outlet of some sort. And the outlet doesn't always have to be people. Sometimes it can be pets. Sometimes it can be a hobby. Just something where they're not stuck.
It could be writing.
It could be writing. It could be writing and blindly going to an open mic night.
Oh, there could be a lot of healing that takes place at the pen and also at the mic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So if people are wanting to get in touch with you, how can they connect with you?
They can email me. I do mental health coaching. So you can find me at DeShanee Thomas at gmail.com to ask any questions, or if I can't therapy you, but I can guide you.
I love that. Spell DeShanee for us.
DeShanee, Thomas, Thomas. I've only been married almost 10 years. I'll figure out my last name at some point.
Over time. Give yourself time.
You know.
Give yourself time. You, as always, are a joy and just a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you.
And we thank you so very much for sharing with us.
I appreciate
Always.
it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to our poet, Kelly AuthentiK Hanwright, and to our mental health professional, DeShanee Thomas, for sharing with us today. Grief is not a disqualification for loving and being loved. Instead, it serves as evidence that you loved well and that you were well loved. And loving well and being well loved does not mean that you cannot love again. If you are impacted by this podcast, we would like to hear from you. Tell us in an original poem that you've written in response to this podcast, and submit your poem to RNCPoetry@gmail.com to have an opportunity to have your poem read on an upcoming episode. Loving again after loss is not a betrayal. It is a continuation of the human capacity to connect. So until next time, this is the Poetic Diva. May your days be filled with healing, inspiration, and poetry, one rhyme at a time. One Rhyme at a Time, unpacking the meaning and the muse with the Poetic Diva. It's podcast programming that reminds us of the connection between artistic expression and mental wellness. This program has been brought to you by Rhyme and Chat Interactive Poetry Organization and the financial and technical support of the Lyndhurst Foundation, Arts Build, Goldnook Productions, and our Chattanooga local NPR station, WUTC 88.1. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, share, and leave comments for us on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us as we continue to bring you meaningful content, one rhyme at a time.